Good morning, beautiful people. How are you all doing today? I hope you're well. Oh, it's cold down here today. Apparently, it's just gone 9 o'clock and it's still minus outside, which I know for a lot of people in other parts of the world is nothing. But for us in London, that's a little bit chilly. We're rarely in the minus figures once sun's up. Yeah, it's only about -1. Like I said, it's not a huge thing, but just because we've been so mad, we had a New Year's Eve and New Year's Day were record-breakingly warm this year. I think the temperature New Year's Day was, the highest recorded was something like 16.5 degrees C. And that's crazy. You'd be happy for that temperature March, April, September, October, bonkers. But now we've plummeted again. It's partly because we had a really beautiful day yesterday. Clear blue skies, so bright, and the sun was out. It was absolutely wonderful. But of course that meant as night fell, no cloud cover, no duvet of clouds to keep some of that warmth in. Yeah, I don't know how low it got last night. About -4, -5 down here. And yeah, I acknowledge that that's not cold compared to other parts of the world. But for us here, it is cold. And I've been trying so much to keep my heating off or just keep it to a minimum, just because the fuel prices are crazy high at the moment. But when I got up about 7 this morning, quite early for me. Yeah, I put the heating on for half an hour or so just to take the edge off. And I've been bundled up in jumpers all morning. But yeah, I'm trying without my hoodie for a minute to see how I feel. It's okay. And I've remembered to turn the heating off again on like Christmas Day. Oh my goodness. I must have had the heating on for about 6 hours on Christmas Day. Completely went out of my mind. Actually, someone mentioned, so I can't remember who it was, and I thought this is a really good idea. If you are going to put your heating on like that, or like I do, where I put it on for say half an hour or an hour, set an alarm, whether it's on your phone or maybe you've got an alarm on your cooker. I've never bothered doing that because it's kind of, usually it's on my mind and I don't forget. I think I was just giddy for Christmas, so I forgot. But yeah, if you're the kind of person, if you're likely to forget, then set a timer, because I hate to think what 6 hours of heat on Christmas Day has added to my bill. But never mind, freezing cold day here. And that's okay because I've actually got a ton of stuff planned for today. I'll come on to that in a little bit. And it looks like next week the weather is going to get a little warmer. I think we're due more rain this week, so it looks like next week the whole week is going to be dry and a bit warmer, so it'll be perfect for getting outside into the garden again. Meanwhile, whilst I'm at home, there are some gardening things I can get on with. But this is just, I'm just having a little quick catch up, bit of not housework, bit of maintenance, no, I don't know what, ignore me, brains all over the place. So this, cue cough, this cough, this nose, this everything that's been going on. I finally managed to speak to a doctor yesterday, thank goodness. And what I would say is, look, I'm not the kind of person who runs off to the doctor every 5 minutes saying, give me tablets, give me antibiotics, give me something, you know. I have faith in not just my body, but in bodies in general to heal themselves. You know, pretty much every autumn and then again in spring, I will get a cold. I might feel grotty for a couple of days, not enough to keep me in bed, and then, you know, after a week or so, it's gone. My body's dealt with it, didn't have to think about it, didn't have to do anything. Might take a couple of paracetamol on one of the grotty days if I've got a bit of a temperature, if I'm aching. But otherwise, you know, pretty much ignore it, let my body get on with things. I'm sort of saying this today, it's kind of like, you know, advice. I sort of did take my own advice, but I didn't push it enough. This started in September. This started 14 weeks ago, which is crazy. By about the middle of October, I thought, oh, it's clearing now, yay. And then a couple of days later, I just felt, ugh, again. And by the beginning of November, I knew, because it had been about 5 weeks by then, I knew there was something going on and my body wasn't actually dealing with it, or, you know, my body had tried to deal with it, but whatever it was had overwhelmed my system, and, you know, my body wasn't going to do it on its own. So I did try to call a doctor at that point, couldn't get an appointment. Oh, I don't know, I left it, tried again at the beginning of December, couldn't get an appointment. And it's just really disheartening when you're on hold for anywhere between half an hour and an hour to then be told, no, there are no appointments, call again tomorrow. What I should have done was I should have just kept calling every day. Anyway, I didn't. This got worse, and just a couple of days into the new year, I actually thought I was getting a migraine. So I've had a headache now since the beginning of December. By the way, none of this is woe is me, pity party. Just saying, please do as I say, not as I do. Yeah, I'd had this headache since the beginning of December, and then just a day or two into New Year's, oh my goodness, the intensity of pain across here, like a sort of a Zorro mask. It was really, really hurting. And like I said, I thought, oh, I'm getting a migraine. And it didn't turn into a migraine, but it stayed just so painful. And I thought, you know what, stuff it, call the doctor again. Yay! Our doctors, the surgery phone line opens at 8 a.m. That's what time I always call. On this occasion, I must have phoned at about 30 seconds to 8 a.m. because I was on the phone, straight through to the answering machine. The surgery is now closed. Please call again between... I didn't even listen to the message. Put the phone down and immediately redialed, and oh, yeah, I'm through. And straight away go into a on-hold queue thing, and it said, you are number 57 in the queue. Oh, good grief, there are 57 people had managed to get into that queue in just a split second before me. But I thought, no, I'm going to hang on the phone. It took me 45 minutes. But yay, I got an appointment for later that morning. Doctor rang me, I went through everything with him. He agreed with my diagnosis as well, that it's a sinus infection. Not sinusitis, not inflammation, but actual infection. So, which I've never experienced before, which is why I didn't understand that pain and I thought it was a migraine. So he's very kindly prescribed me some antibiotics. And as I say, I don't usually run to the doctor every 2 minutes for anything like that. It's only the second time in my entire life that I've needed antibiotics. But yeah, I love them. They're so pretty. I think maybe, I think I was probably a little bit run down to start with. Just that kind of low-level background stress that was going on all of last year, that does kind of, I feel like that kind of depletes me. And of course, because it had got hold, because it had been going on for so long. Anyway, I'm chuffed. I've got antibiotics now. I'm going to do a week, look, like a good little nurse, so I don't forget my times and days. It's really important to take antibiotics on a regular, but ideally 8 hours apart. So ideally I would do them at 8 a.m, 4 p.m. and 12 midnight. But because I can't guarantee I'm going to be awake at 8, even with an alarm, I just turn it to snooze. And maybe not even at 12, because I have felt really tired and I've been going to bed a bit earlier. So yeah, good little nurse, got her own little meds chart there. Oh, please let them work. The doctor did say, you know, if by day 5 I'm not really noticing any difference, I need to get back in touch. so that we've got time to start another course of antibiotics and maybe try a different one. So the problem at the moment is they can't take a sample, so they don't actually know what bacteria is in there. But this antibiotic is quite a broad spectrum one. Anyway, I'm chuffed. I just hope it works, because it really has made me feel a bit you know, when something just knocks 10% off. Of course, it's been interrupting my sleep, the cough in particular. You know, look, I know there's far worse things health-wise to be dealing with in the world. Of course there are. But just when you're sort of under par, just a little bit under par for getting on for 4 months, it just does, it flattens you. And I've just felt so tired, and at times really struggling to motivate myself to get on with things that day. It's funny, I was saying the other day that, yeah, I've taken 4 whole days off, can't remember the last time I did that. Normally, you know, when I've had a couple of days seeing Richard and Paul, and they bring me and drop me off home, let's say it's sort of 9 o'clock in the evening, they have a quick cup of tea, then off they go. Normally, in the past, what I would have done is at 9 o'clock, go onto the computer and answer comments, messages, emails that have come in during the 2 days that I've been away. I didn't do that this time. And then the next day I was saying, yay, I didn't do anything, I just allowed my thoughts. Part of that was because I could barely be bothered to turn the computer on even. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. Chuffed, fingers crossed. This has got to go. I'm sick of this. Just a couple of things I'm going to go into the living room in a minute and chat. Oh, this made me laugh this morning because it was on the counter, and I thought I'd just share. It's a silly little thing. It's next to the Ujmi Flips, the antibiotics. A stamp with a bit of a mashup back to it. This is a habit I got from my mum, from my grandparents. I've had another little tranche of mail. Yay! None of it exciting, none of it sort of Christmas or anything like that, but actually some really important things that I've been waiting on, which now mean I can do something else. Brilliant. But whenever I get mail, I always look at the stamp to see if it's been franked, you know, stamped as in used. And if it hasn't, like this one hasn't, I can use that again. So it's not on there now, but I sort of tear it off with a bit of paper of the envelope, and I put it in a little dish in water just to soak, just to soften it, and then I can peel the stamp off, put it on a serviette or a tea towel to dry, and there we go. I've got a free stamp. I don't know how much stamps cost individually, because generally when I'm posting, I'll post a few things at a time, but I think a standard large is about £1.30 something? £1.30 that I can keep in my purse instead. So yeah, whenever you get your mail, check your stamps, and if they haven't been franked, tear a little bit of the paper around it as well, pop it in a bowl of water, next day, peel it off, dry it, free stamp. Oh dear. You know, that might seem like a little bit of faff, but if you apply that principle to all sorts of other things, that's how you can be saving the pennies and being a bit frugal. I'm going to share a couple of bath time treats with you. Well, not sort of treats, but so last night I had a lovely long bath. I should say with this, thank you to Richard. He gave me a little tub of menthol crystals. I have to be careful how I say that. I kept saying crystal meh, you know, menthol crystals to do steam inhalation, and it was lovely, gorgeous sensation. But obviously, it's not gonna shift an infection. But it was really just lovely, comforting. So last night, I was having a nice, long, really steamy bath. And as I was sat in the tub, I was about to wash my hair, and I realised that my normal shampoo that I used, the Lush shampoo, was still in my wash bag from having visited with the chaps, and that was at the far end of the bathroom, and I did not want to get out of my bath, but I had this on the end of the bath ready, because that Lush bar is getting quite small. So it's quite a nice shape actually, it's quite a nice move it around in your hands shape. The reason I'm mentioning it is because my hair this morning is as a result of that last night. It was interesting to use it after the Lush, because the Lush one lathers up quite a bit in my hands. So I have the bar in my hands, literally that's pretty much all I need. Put the bar of soap down and done. This one, it's by Faith in Nature. I know a lot of you will know this brand, but all sorts of other products they do. And what I found was it didn't lather up much in my hands, and I sort of like was putting it on, and then I actually had the bar and I scrubbed the bar over my head a little bit. But what I found was that if I kept at it, it did get a nice lather, and I could have a really good scrudge around in there. So I probably did this action, working my hair, about maybe 4 or 5 times longer than with the Lush. In other words, I probably did that for maybe 2 minutes instead of with the Lush, maybe half a minute. Rinsed, obviously, and I'm really pleased, because one of the reasons I was a bit, excuse me, a bit worried about getting this one is, outside of that Lush one that I've been using for years, I did have, I think it was either 2 or 3 Christmases ago, I had another one in my stocking from my mum, and I actually ended up just using it for my body and not my hair in the end, because it just felt, afterwards my hair felt greasy, it looked lank. I think what it was it was a kind of a residue, despite the fact that I'd rinsed. And I thought maybe it was just that first time, and I used it again, and I was really, really careful with my rinsing, but it still felt, it was almost a sort of a stickiness. And like I said, just look at, like, without even touching my hair, it was all sort of like, I mean, I've got such fine hair anyway, when it was sort of clumping, the strands were clumping together, it was horrible. I really, really hated it as a shampoo. And I think that put me off trying any other bars. So when I picked this up the other day, I was sort of like, I was feeling a bit reluctant about it, remembering that other one. But I don't live anywhere near a Lush. I don't have any friends who are going, because that last bar I've got, that's a friend of mine who, she goes to another part of town where there is a Lush, but she doesn't go there that often anymore. And I did say to her recently, I said, are you going anywhere near Lush again soon? No. Otherwise, she'd have picked a bar up for me. I can get it through the post, but, well, firstly, the post isn't reliable, but also it pretty much doubles the cost, because I think the postage is about 4 or 5 quid. It's quite high postage. Anyway, rambling. That's why I picked this one up. And I was just thinking, oh, hopefully that will do. Right, now, I was out yesterday and I picked something up which I hope is going to help with something in the living room. Actually, I'll show you in here, I'll bring it in here, hang on a tick. I forgot there was something else I wanted to show you. This was for Christmas from my sister. It's called Sweet Sleep Magnesium Butter. Let me take my face out of the way, I can't focus. It is handmade with love in Frugal, England, organic lavender. Now it's, I don't think this is going to pick up. Can you see? So it's like a body butter, like a moisturiser, but it's grainy. Can you see the graininess? It's almost like a butter that's had a scrub added. It's not a scrub. It's the magnesium in here we're after. So, and I did try something similar about 5 years ago. I heard that magnesium was really good, sort of externally applied, to help sort of ease pain in joints. It's also supposed to be good for restless leg syndrome. If any of you also suffer from restless leg syndrome, you'll know how horrible it is. Again, there are much worse things in the world, but anyone who has it will know that it's just that horror of going to bed and you can't sleep because you're kicking and twitching, and my kicks can get incredibly violent. My legs have thrown me out of bed before now. I'm not kidding, I'm not exaggerating. Literally flicked me out of bed. So it's not just that the leg thing is horrible, but it's those night after night after night of poor sleep, interrupted sleep. Anyway, so it's supposed to help with that too. The one I tried before, the reason I'm delighted with this is because of the different consistency. The one I'd had before was a really not a very good medium to try and use. It was almost like water, but with blobs in. So you'd sort of pour some into your hand and then you'd have to sort of quickly try and slap it onto your skin and rub it in. But also there was no sort of viscosity because the water content would evaporate straight away. So you didn't kind of get that sense, or I didn't get that feeling or sense of being able to rub it in, almost like a sort of massage at the same time. Anyway, I didn't really notice a discernible difference with that back then. And frankly, because it was not very user-friendly, I didn't bother getting another bottle after that one had finished. And maybe if I'd carried on longer term, it would have had an effect. But I'm giving this a go. It's, like I said, the consistency is much easier to use. It's not a moisturiser as such, although I'm just stroking my leg now. My skin does feel, it feels soft and hydrated. It doesn't, put it this way, it doesn't feel as sort of dry and scaly as it would if I'd not put anything on. But ostensibly this is about trying to have some joint relief and even possibly reduce the restless leg syndrome. So it says to apply to the lower part of the legs and the feet and the soles of the feet. So after I've put it on, just a little pair of cotton socks, because it's almost greasy. It's not, but that's the best way I can describe it. So long trousered pyjamas and a little pair of cotton socks just to protect the sort of, the bed linen. So I've done that now for 2 nights. Obviously, not necessarily obviously, but I'm not seeing a difference at the moment. But the people my sister bought this from, does it say it on here? I don't think it says it on the label, but they reckoned that 7 days use I might start to see some effect. I'm just looking at the ingredients. The first ingredient is the magnesium. The second ingredient is shea butter. There's coconut oil and there's mango seed butter. That's why I do feel kind of moisturised too. And then it's scented with organic lavender. So it's a really lovely, for me I associate lavender with bedtime anyway. It's that sort of lovely soporific scent. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I'll let you know. I'm going to just keep using it. I'll just keep using it until the pot is empty. If there's a discernible difference, then it's something that I will look at getting again. Although knowing my sister and how treaty she is with me, I don't think that would have been cheap. But it's one of those things, isn't it, with expense, that I'm going to come on to all the frugal stuff in the next couple of videos. But sometimes folk will say to me, oh, you know, how can you be affording to buy organic food? It's much more expensive. Well, I can afford it because I don't spend my money on all sorts of other stuff that I can do without. And it would be the same for this, that, you know, if it works, wow, that's a price worth paying. And, you know, may mean slightly less of something else in order to afford it, but it would be worth it. So, talking of videos and stuff, sorry, I needed a really big cough. Talking of videos and stuff, I've got really quite a few lined up, and the next sort of 4 or 5 I want to make are all indoors. And what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get everything filmed today, so it's all in the can, and then evenings, whenever, I can do my editing then, but just know that the material's there. But more is the point, the subject matter. So a number of you have been talking about, am I going to do any more Frugal videos? Well, sorry, yes, there are 2 Frugal videos that are going to be coming up. One, I'm going to talk about my 9 frugal habits. Is it 9 or 10? Anyway, I'm going to be talking about some of my frugal habits that are just there all the time, which help me to be frugal and help me to therefore afford sometimes really expensive stuff, but that I need. And then I'm going to start a new little series. I think we'll look at it about once a month or so. I'm going to challenge you. Some of you did it a little bit last year, but we didn't start until about March or April, I think. But I'm going to challenge you, some of you, to have a sort of a no, I was going to say no spend. It won't be a no spend, but a low spend year. And each month I'm going to pick a sort of a subject area where we might normally be spending money, but ways to do things for a lot less, if not free. The reason I went into, well, as usual, I'm all over the place. I went to get something from the living room to show you in here. Something I've been meaning to do for ages. That front window of mine, it's south facing, it's bright, it's light, it's gorgeous. That's where I photograph things for the shop. That's where I've been doing some of my photos for Instagram. Thank you so much for all of you who've come over and had a look and have pressed the follow button. I'm still getting my head around how it works. Now, sometimes the light there is so bright that I have issues with shadow. I'll get a really distinct cut in what I'm trying to photo. This is in bright light, this is in deep shade. And at that point, I can't take the photograph. So what I often do is I literally, with masking tape up a white sheet to the window so that the light can come through, but the brightness is diffused so I don't get those sharp shadow lines. But also, ever since those buildings got put up opposite me, when I'm sitting in the window, not in the window with my back to the window looking into my room, but when I'm sitting in my chair, when I've pulled my chair over to the window for some extra light at this time of year, I'm sat there with my camera, I'm looking straight into someone's office across the way, you know, because so many people have been working from home and are still working from home. And I always think, I kind of feel a bit shy, I feel a bit of a numpty that if they ever look through my window, do they think, there's that wackadoodle girl talking to herself again. So I've been meaning for ages to sort out some sort of window dressing for that window. I don't like curtains. I like sleeping with the window, you know, open. I mean literally open, but also with no dressing on, because I like light in the morning. I like, if I wake up in the night, I can sort of generally tell what time it is from how dark or whatever. I like having a sense of the weather that's out there. So I don't like having curtains. But ever since those flats went up, yeah, I have to remember that they're there, because I'm a bit of a nuddy girl too, you know. Once I've had my bath, if it's kind of around bedtime, I'm prancing around in the mud. Those poor people. Anyway, part of the issue is that window is made from PVC. When I moved in, there were wooden windows and I would have preferred that, but they were absolutely rotten. I mean, dangerously rotten, kind of threatening to fall off and into the street. The problem where I am is to have wooden windows, I mean, they need maintaining really every 5 years or so. I can't get to the outside to maintain them. So I ended up with these PVC windows. I don't like them. I think they're ugly, but they were what I could afford. Also, they were half the price of wooden windows, considerably less maintenance. But because of that, I can't screw anything in. And then I had an idea, I had a brainwave. Because what I'd like to do is have something permanently there that I can hang just a bit of, I don't know yet, I'm going to have to go through all my fabrics and bits and pieces to see what I've got. Do you remember I was talking about maybe making a patchwork of vintage handkerchiefs and vintage pieces that I chop up and make a patchwork of, where, you know, chop out any damaged bits, or sometimes the damage might be pretty even, but I haven't got time to do that at the moment, so I'm going to look for a big enough piece. And then I've simply got this bit of dowel. I had it for something else, and I remember it's behind the bathroom door, and I suddenly thought, oh, I wonder, and I picked it up, I offered it up to the window. It's the exact size, woo! Brilliant. So I can do that, and either some sort of curtain that I create a sort of a pocket seam in, so I can slide the whole thing on, or something it can just fold over, whatever. But yay, that's the right width. Basically, I'm not spending any money. But how to hang it onto those plastic frames, because it's all kind of insulated too. So if I drill into the plastic, it's no longer insulated. And then I suddenly thought of these things. Can you see? No, they're not nipple tassels. No, stop it, Vivi. They're just little, it's a little hook, and I've checked my dowel will slot into that. You see? It'll just sit in that little hook. But it's, they're little suckers. So it's that thing where once you press it into the plastic, by pressing it in, it squashes all the air out, thus creating a vacuum, so it's stuck on. These were cheap as chips. I picked these up, I think they were 15p each. I hope they're not rubbish. But the idea of using these, so one either side to then hang the dowel in. Firstly, if I don't like where I put it, I can move it up, down, whatever. But also when I move, I can remove it and I've not left any damage for the new person who's going to live in my home. No one's allowed to live here but me. I'm starting to freak out about that a bit. But anyway, yeah, I thought that was a jolly good solution. So give that a go today. Much, much, much to get on with. So I think I'm going to say cheerio on that one for now. And like I said, because next week looks like decent weather, I really want to spend, in the month of January, I need to do a chunk of stuff in the garden, but also on my list for January is remove everything from this kitchen, deep clean it, redecorate it. It really needs it. So bearing in mind that I am sort of going to be getting busier, I thought make the most of this indoor time now, try and get all the videos made that I want to get made. And once they're made, the editing, I can do that of an evening. I can do one every evening. But just know that they're there in order to free me up to do that other stuff that I won't necessarily be filming. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. So thank you for coming and hanging out with me this morning. Please, 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 everyone, you know what? You kept your fingers crossed for my broad beans and it worked. And then you kept your fingers crossed for Catherine's broad beans and it worked. So I'm asking you to cross your fingers one more time. It won't be the last time this year, I guarantee it. Please keep your fingers crossed that all of these work. Yeah, fingers firmly crossed. Actually, no, I trust in science, but I just really, really, really want them to work. Anyway, that's enough. So I will catch up with you soon. I think let's talk about some gardening stuff in the next one before we then talk about some frugal stuff again. You'll see as they appear online, as they all unfold. All right, gorgeosities, look after yourselves, look after each other. If you've got some sort of infection which hasn't cleared up after 3 or 4 weeks, your body needs some help, get in touch with your doctor. My tummy's gurgling like mad. It's a long time since breakfast and it was only a light breakfast. All right, lovelies, I'll see you all again soon. Until then, cheerio.